we have a standard for that position, regardless of who's in there. Practice, games, how we operate, what we believe in. We have a very, very high standard.
But I mean, he pushed the boundaries like he did in absolutely everything. No surprise that he did it in that way as well. But I don't think it's necessarily something that I actively think about until people kind of remind me with texts and things like that. And if one guy happens to be a little bit off, then the play doesn't work. And I think it's always it always takes a little bit of time to get all 11 guys operating on full cylinder, especially when you're rotating a bunch of guys in during training camp and you have a bunch of guys taking reps. It just makes it even a little bit harder.
Joe Flacco has officially been named the Week 1 starter for the NFL season. But when he spoke to the media, he didn't just talk about himself. Instead, the veteran QB went out of his way to praise Shadour Sanders. Flacco pointed out how Shedeur's performances in OTAs, minicamp, and training sessions have pushed him to raise his own level of play. That's huge respect coming from a Super Bowl-winning quarterback who knows exactly what it takes to compete at the highest level. At the same time, Flacco also weighed in on Dillon Gabriel's struggles, especially that costly fumble in his preseason debut. He admitted Gabriel just needs more time to adjust and develop chemistry with the full squad, and made it clear he believes Gabriel will get better. But here's the big question. If Joe Flacco himself is giving Shadour Sanders this kind of credit, then why hasn't Kevin Stefanski elevated him to the second-string role yet? We're diving into all of that and more. But before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a like, because every single one helps us keep bringing you the latest NFL updates. Even with Flacco locked in as the Week 1 starter, the conversation around Shadour Sanders is only getting louder, and it's very real. Flacco himself admitted that yes, he's the starter, but Shadour is right there, competing at a high level. So here's the million-dollar question. If Shadour is showing that much potential, why isn't he getting more snaps with the first team? Analyst Garrett Bush didn't hold back on this one. He pointed out that while Flacco absolutely deserves the starting role right now, football is unpredictable and sometimes unforgiving. That's exactly why the Browns should be preparing Shadour today instead of keeping him stuck on the sidelines. According to Bush, the team is essentially holding back a player who could very well be a huge part of the franchise's future.
The Cleveland Browns are one play away from talking about one of these two kids starting. And the scary thing is, instead of preparing them and getting them ready to play and getting them ready to be a guy that's going to back up a 41-year-old quarterback.
Garrett Bush didn't sugarcoat his thoughts. He flat out called out Kevin Stefanski. According to Bush, Stefanski isn't focused on what's truly best for the Browns. Instead of developing his young quarterback, he's pushed Shadour Sanders to the sidelines, working with support staff, while giving the most meaningful reps to a 41-year-old Joe Flacco. And let's be honest, if Flacco goes down, the entire season could be hanging by a thread. Bush went further, saying this isn't just a one-time mistake. It's a pattern the Browns keep repeating. Critical opportunities are being wasted, and the same questionable decisions keep popping up year after year. In his eyes, this is exactly the type of mismanagement that drags the team in the wrong direction. And once again, fans are left asking the same question. Has this organization really learned anything from its past failures?
You play games and have them thrown on a side field with support staff. This is the stuff that the Cleveland Browns drop the ball on every single time. They worry about the wrong stuff.
And Garrett's point really starts to make sense. Because this isn't some brand new issue. It's a repeating pattern. If you watched Kevin Stefanski's latest press conference, it was hard not to notice how uncomfortable he seemed even mentioning Shadour Sanders' name. The hesitation was clear. When reporters pushed him on why he suddenly decided to start his main quarterback in the third preseason game, something he avoided doing last year, his answer was vague at best. We do what the players need. But let's be real. That's not the kind of strong, confident response you expect from a head coach who's supposed to be building for the future. Instead of sounding like leadership, it came across more like avoiding the real issue. And that's only fueling the speculation. Because maybe, just maybe, the Browns don't even have a real plan for Shadour Sanders. And if that's true, then this debate isn't just about a quarterback competition. It's about a much bigger problem with leadership at the very top of the organization.
This year will be that joint practice in week 1. And then this year, just feel like that's what this team needs to get ready. Try to every single year make decisions based on what the guys need. So that's what we'll do.
And here's the core problem. Shadour Sanders still hasn't been given a real shot. No live game snaps. No meaningful time with the first-team offense. So how does that match up with Stefanski's claim of doing what the players need? If the Browns are serious about developing young talent, then keeping Sanders stuck on the sidelines just doesn't add up. Fans see it, and they're frustrated. Right now, the quarterback they're most excited about, the one who symbolizes the future, hasn't even been given the opportunity to prove himself on the field. Instead of building trust, Stefanski's words are starting to feel more like excuses. And instead of providing clarity, his answers are only raising more doubt, fueling more frustration, and leaving everyone with bigger questions about what the future of the Browns' quarterback position really looks like.
Last year?
Yeah, Watson.
Yeah. What year is this?
On the other hand, when Joe Flacco was asked about whether Shadour Sanders might be frustrated with the current system, he offered a completely different perspective. Flacco stressed that in the NFL, nothing is handed to you. You've got to fight for every opportunity. He acknowledged that for a young player like Shedeur, it's normal to feel impatient or even a little restless at times. But in Flacco's eyes, that doesn't mean the Browns are handling him the wrong way. Instead, he placed the responsibility squarely on Shedeur himself, saying it's up to him to push through those feelings, stay locked in, and prove he's ready. According to Flacco, it's less about the system holding Shedeur back, and more about how Shedeur chooses to respond to the challenge in front of him.
Yeah, listen, I think the thing that as you get in the league, no matter what position you are, the part of it that you deal with mentally that maybe is a little bit of a struggle, not an advantage, is that you got to fight like the boredom and the monotony of doing it for so long.
Even though Flacco tried to back up Kevin Stefanski's approach, the analysts aren't convinced. Ryan Clark, in particular, didn't hold back. He argued that Shadour Sanders simply hasn't been given the game-time opportunities needed to show what he can really do. And honestly, he's got a valid point. How can the Browns expect to evaluate their quarterback of the future once Joe Flacco's run is over, if Sanders isn't even getting meaningful snaps? Clark highlighted something important. Whenever Shedeur has been tested in practice, he's delivered. Cool under pressure, pinpoint accuracy, a natural leadership presence that looks every bit like a franchise quarterback in the making. But without real game reps, those traits can't be fully proven. And by keeping him sidelined, the Browns are risking the chance of ever truly knowing how high Shadour Sanders' ceiling might be.
Is what I feel about.
But that's the thing. If they don't play, Swag, how do you know? Even if they're at practice and like Jason said, we're seeing them do well against the ones playing well in 7-on-7. It's still practice.
We're talking about practice, but RC, that's the question that I'm asking.
The cloud of uncertainty surrounding Kevin Stefanski's choices just keeps getting thicker. When he was asked again about who would serve as Joe Flacco's backup, his answer was short and vague. We'll make that call in a couple of days. But let's be real. That doesn't sound like a well-thought-out plan. It feels more like buying time, and fans see right through it. This doesn't look like a true quarterback competition at all. It feels like yet another way to keep Shadour Sanders on the sidelines. Stefanski's hesitant, unclear responses don't inspire confidence. If anything, they come across as stalling tactics. And in the NFL, indecision can be just as dangerous as making the wrong call outright. At this level, a lack of clarity isn't just concerning. It's the kind of thing that can throw an entire season off track.
What do you plan to do at quarterback for the dress rehearsal game, and what is the timeline for naming a Week 1 starter?
Yeah, I want to get through the next couple days, but certainly that's something that we're going to do here sooner than later.
At the end of the day, this entire situation with the Browns feels bigger than just deciding between Joe Flacco and Shadour Sanders. It's about leadership, trust, and whether this organization is truly committed to building for the future. On one hand, you've got a veteran quarterback in Flacco who's steady, proven, and respected. But on the other hand, you've got Shadour Sanders, a young, talented prospect who hasn't been given a real chance to show what he's capable of under the lights. Kevin Stefanski's vague answers and unwillingness to give Shedeur meaningful snaps raise serious questions. Is this about protecting the team's short-term success, or is it about avoiding tough decisions? Because the longer Shedeur stays sidelined, the more it feels like the Browns are letting another golden opportunity slip away. Fans want clarity, analysts are calling it out, and even players are hinting at the tension beneath the surface. If Cleveland doesn't start addressing this quarterback situation with a clear plan, they risk not only stunting Shadeur's growth, but also shaking the confidence of a fan base that's been waiting far too long for stability at the most important position in football. What do you think, Browns fans? Is Kevin Stefanski making the right call by keeping Shadour Sanders on the sidelines? Or is he holding back a quarterback who could be the future of this franchise? Do you believe Joe Flacco should be the unquestioned starter? Or should Shedeur already be getting meaningful reps with the first team? And most importantly, do you think Stefanski even has a long-term plan for the Browns' quarterback position? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear from you.